He's one of those musicians that is, I am a musician, that's what I am. And he's from the church, his mom was a pastor, and he plays at church, and he's just a musician. This is what I do. If I put out an album, cool.
October 14th, the news left the music world in shock. D'Angelo, the soul of neo-soul, passed away at 51 from pancreatic cancer. No press conference, no public funeral, only a cold statement from his family. He has been called home, leaving this world behind. The artistic community was stunned. Fans fell silent. And amid that grief, Erykah Badu, the spiritual companion who had walked alongside D'Angelo for over 2 decades, appeared under the lights, the cameras, and with an old hard drive. "This is the footage they tried to bury," she said, her husky voice rising from deep within the void. What was in it? D'Angelo's final words, or a curse he carried since the death of Angie Stone, the woman who once said she was being hunted by a dark force? 3 souls, 3 spiritual bonds, 3 deaths, and the strange silence of Hollywood. Now, as Badu decides to unveil it all, one question remains. Does the footage reveal a dying man, or a conspiracy someone has kept hidden for far too long? Before we can understand what that footage truly is, we must first know why the bond between Badu and D'Angelo was so powerful and so dangerous that someone would want to bury it forever. The neo-soul connection between Erykah Badu and D'Angelo. If music has a soul, then neo-soul is its deepest layer, a realm where the voice becomes a prayer, and the drum beat echoes like the heartbeat of God. In that sacred space, there were 2 who did not merely make music, they lived inside it, Erykah Badu and D'Angelo. 2 solitary beings in a noisy world, they built their own religion where sound, faith, and darkness fused into one. Born in 1971 in Dallas, Texas, Erykah Badu grew up in the church, raised on gospel and jazz. From a young age, she was different. She didn't just sing, she used her voice as ritual. In 1997, her album Baduism was released, selling over 3 million copies and earning 2 Grammys, crowning her the queen of neo-soul. Yet behind the turban and meditative aura, Badu could never hide her unease. She once said, "Music heals, but it's dangerous too. It hears things humans are not meant to hear." Around the same time in Richmond, Virginia, Michael Eugene Archer, better known as D'Angelo, was writing the first chapter of the same story. Born in 1974, the son of a pastor, he grew up amid church choirs and a quiet struggle with faith. His 1995 debut, Brown Sugar, with songs like Lady Cruisin' and Me and Those Dreamin' Eyes of Mine, sold over 2 million copies and became a cornerstone of the neo-soul movement alongside Maxwell and Lauryn Hill. But unlike them, D'Angelo sought more than success. He wanted to understand the soul of music, and sometimes the soul within himself. The 2, Erykah and D'Angelo, were like yin and yang, vibrating on the same frequency. When they first met during a recording session in 1997, producers called it an energy event. Not because they sang together, but because the room seemed to pause as if time itself held its breath. From that day, people said they could hear each other even in silence. Both born of the church, both rejecting the commercialization of art, both believing that every note was a prayer. Then in 1999, the inevitable happened, the union of 2 spirits. Your Precious Love. Their duet on the Best Man soundtrack was more than a love song. It was a vow. Badu's voice floated like incense smoke, D'Angelo's tone thick as burning honey. They sang as if conversing across 2 realms, life and death, light and shadow. The song never reached #1, yet it was hailed as the hymn of neo-soul music that transcended charts to become ritual. After that, rumors spread. People whispered that D'Angelo and Badu shared a spiritual connection, that they not only sang together but communed together. At the time, D'Angelo was in a relationship with Angie Stone, the celebrated singer-songwriter 3 years his senior, who helped him craft Brown Sugar. They had a son, Michael Archer Jr., born in 1998. But when D'Angelo released his second album, Voodoo, in 2000, featuring the now iconic, untitled How Does It Feel?, the world saw a different man, bare-chested, hollow-eyed, radiating an energy both divine and dangerous. Badu, meanwhile, had turned toward mysticism. She became a prophet figure within the Black artistic community, speaking of energy, frequency, and rebirth through sound. In interviews, she often referred to D'Angelo as a soul brother, the only one who understood the darkness she too lived with. They continued to meet privately in closed recording sessions. No paparazzi, no labels, just drums, piano, and prayer. Industry insiders claimed that once Badu and D'Angelo recorded together for 47 hours straight on an unreleased demo. Badu chanted ancient Yoruba verses while D'Angelo improvised live drum rhythms. A sound engineer recalled, "At one point the microphone picked up strange interference, but they didn't stop." Erykah said, "It's fine, they're listening." From 2001 to 2005, both vanished from the public eye. D'Angelo spiraled into depression, alcoholism, a car crash, and several arrests. In a rare interview, he said, "Something's pulling me down. I feel like I'm being watched." When Badu was asked about him, she simply smiled and replied, "He's not lost. He's being called." In 2008, the two reappeared together in an impromptu show in Atlanta. No announcements, no promotion. As Badu sang Green Eyes and D'Angelo played the roads behind her, witnesses recalled the stage lights flickering, and for a moment both closed their eyes as if listening to an unseen voice. From then on, people called them the Black Soul Disciples. They never publicly confirmed a romantic relationship, but everyone felt a bond beyond ordinary love. In a 2015 NPR talk show, Badu admitted, "When D'Angelo and I sing together, something bigger than both of us is speaking." D'Angelo, in a 2019 interview, said simply, "She's the only one who understands my fear." Yet after years of drifting between the light and dark realms of music, D'Angelo, the man Badu once called a soul in human form, began crossing a line no one else dared to touch. But this time there was no stage, no drums, no audience. Only a cold room, a silent piano, and an artist listening as his own soul faded beat by beat. The brutal battle against illness of D'Angelo. Those close to him recalled that he began complaining of fatigue around mid-2023 while preparing for his new album. At first he thought it was exhaustion from overwork, but soon severe abdominal pain, chronic insomnia, and rapid weight loss forced him to seek medical attention. The diagnosis, stage 2 pancreatic cancer. D'Angelo never made it public. He kept recording, kept going to the studio, still appeared at small jam sessions with friends. Yet people noticed a change. His skin had darkened. His eyes sank deeper. His voice grew softer. One sound engineer recounted that during his final sessions, he would often stop mid-take, sit silently, and say, "My body is fighting, but my soul is tired." By the end of 2023, he began treatment at a medical center in Nashville. Records later confirmed that he underwent 6 rounds of chemotherapy, each leaving him visibly weaker. Doctors said he remained calm throughout, often listening to his old demos, especially Africa from his 2000 album Voodoo, a song that once brought him to tears because, as he said, it was sung through faith, not voice. At the start of 2024, D'Angelo canceled all performances and withdrew from the media. News outlets were given a brief statement for personal health reasons. Friends described him as reclusive, eating little, saving his energy only for composition. One old friend recalled, he said if he couldn't perform anymore, at least he wanted to leave behind something real. And he did. During treatment, D'Angelo recorded more than 40 demos, mostly using only Rhodes piano and soft percussion. He named the folder Light after Voodoo. Many believe it was his way of speaking to himself, a journey of release, not despair. By mid-2025, his health declined sharply. The cancer had metastasized, leaving him severely weakened. D'Angelo returned to his home in Richmond, refusing long hospital stays. He told his doctor, "I don't want to die in a white room. I want to die inside the music." And that is exactly what he did. Neighbors said they could still hear piano sounds drifting from his house every night. Not loud, not rushed, just a few repeating chords sometimes, with his faint voice humming like a prayer. His son Michael Jr. said at a memorial service, "My father wasn't afraid of dying. He was only afraid of never hearing music again." By early October 2025, his condition turned critical. His family brought him back to a Richmond medical center for end-of-life care. 3 days later, in the early hours of October 14, 2025, D'Angelo passed away in his sleep. The hospital report stated simply, "Cardiac arrest due to complications from pancreatic cancer." The family promptly issued an official statement thanking fans and requesting privacy during this difficult time. The funeral was small with limited attendance. No public photos, no videos, no live stream. Only a white wreath placed on his Rhodes piano, and a note that read, "Music is where I began. It's where I return." To the public, the story ended there, a musical genius lost after a long battle with illness. But among those who knew him best, many sensed something was off. His treatment process was scarcely documented. No public medical records. No physician ever confirmed the regimen. And most notably, Erykah Badu, his closest spiritual companion, did not attend the funeral. She posted only one sentence on social media: energy never dies. It only changes form. A short message, but enough to spark questions. If D'Angelo truly died of illness, why did those closest to him doubt it? And why only months later did Erykah Badu reappear, carrying an unreleased piece of footage? Amid the confusion, grief, and suspicion, one name began to resurface: Angie Stone. Angie Stone and the mysterious accident, the beginning of the neo-soul curse. Before it became a tragedy, Angie Stone had been the source of everything beautiful in D'Angelo's life. She wasn't just his first love and the mother of his son, Michael Jr. She was the one who shaped him into the symbol of neo-soul. In 1995, when D'Angelo was still a young musician obsessed with Marvin Gaye, it was Angie, a veteran singer and former member of The Sequence, who helped him find the true soul within his music. They wrote together, sang together, loved each other, and created a blend the industry called alchemy, the fusion of spirit, sexuality, and sound. But if love gave birth to neo-soul, it was also the very thing that buried both of their souls. On the night of March 1, 2025, Angie Stone left the stage in Montgomery, Alabama, to the applause of thousands. She smiled and told her assistant, "We'll continue that conversation tomorrow." But tomorrow never came. On the way back to her hotel, the van carrying 8 members of her crew suddenly lost control, flipping multiple times in the dark. A witness recalled, it was as if something had thrown the vehicle. When rescuers arrived, Angie was still alive. Blood ran down her forehead as she signaled weakly, "I'm fine, just get me out." 2 minutes later, an unmarked truck slammed straight into the overturned van. Of the 8 passengers, 7 survived. Only Angie died on the spot. Police called it a rare double collision. But those who knew Angie, a woman who believed that music was religion, didn't buy it. Just 3 days earlier, Angie had live-streamed an accusation against her former management company, claiming they had stolen her royalties and used witchcraft to silence her. Her voice trembled as she said her final words, "If anything happens to me, look at the ones who claim to represent me." That line spread across social media, and 3 days later, she was gone. In the final weeks of her life, Angie told friends she had been hearing African drums and strange voices calling her name in the middle of the night. She believed they were signs that someone was calling her soul. A deeply spiritual woman, Angie studied Yoruba and Vodun rituals, ancient West African religions blended with Christianity. She once said, "Music is energy," and someone has learned how to steal that energy. During the autopsy, examiners found a carved symbol on Angie's arm, an ancient Yoruba mark used in summoning rituals. But in the official coroner's report, that detail was erased, labeled instead as an old tattoo. Her sister denied it. "My sister never had a tattoo." Strangely, Angie's bank accounts were frozen just hours after the crash was made public. Royalties from her hits like "No More Rain" and "Wish I Didn't Miss You" vanished from the system. The management company explained it as a technical error. But for those who had witnessed her bitter legal battles with them, the word "technical" sounded more like a warning. When asked about her friend's death, Erykah Badu said only one chilling sentence: "When energy is taken, the universe will reclaim it." The words echoed like a curse. And just 4 months later, D'Angelo, Angie's partner in both music and love, died in silence. After Angie's death, he withdrew completely from public life, canceling tours, cutting off contact, refusing interviews. The media reported he was undergoing treatment, but no hospital confirmed it. No photos, no paperwork. Only a final message he sent to a close friend: "They won't stop." March, Angie died. May, D'Angelo disappeared. October, his family announced he had died of pancreatic cancer. Too fast, too neat, too coincidental. 2 souls once bound by music, believers in energy, and the unseen world, both left this realm in the same year. Could it be that within those tender neo-soul melodies lies a thread leading toward something far darker, a curse that cannot be broken? No one knows. Only Erykah Badu, the last one standing in that fateful triangle, remains silent. And somewhere in a dusty old camera, the footage they tried to bury may still exist, waiting for the day when light dares to find it. Neo-soul, hidden faith, and the shadow of the African cult. To understand why D'Angelo's death shook the entire neo-soul world, one must return to the beginning, to where every sound was born in the church, yet every soul belonged to Africa. Neo-soul was never just a genre. It was a ritual, a summoning, a form of prayer through sound where music replaced scripture, and every artist was a priest standing between two realms, light and darkness. For Erykah Badu, music was religion. For D'Angelo, it was the refuge of his soul. Both emerged from the church, yet the further they went, the more they drifted away from hymns toward an unseen world, a realm where it was believed that the voices of ancestors still whispered within every drumbeat. Badu once said in a 2008 interview, her eyes gleaming with a mystic haze, "Music is magic. Every song is a spell. It can heal or destroy." No one paid attention back then. Not until Angie Stone died, and 4 months later D'Angelo passed away from cancer. 2 deaths, 2 neo-soul spirits, 2 lives intertwined in blood and faith, and one remaining in silence, as if guarding a secret that must never be spoken. Within the Black artistic community, there exists a quiet belief that music is not just emotion, it is energy. Those who can touch the deepest layer of sound can also touch the energy of the spirit world. D'Angelo and Erykah Badu were among the few capable of doing so. They often spoke about soul's reincarnation, light, and electricity concepts deeply rooted in the ancient Yoruba religion of West Africa. In Yoruba belief, every human being is connected to an Orisha, a guardian spirit. It is said that if that bond is severed, the body weakens, and if it is stolen, the soul fades. And it is here that D'Angelo's death began to take on another hue. Before his passing, he once said in a rare interview, "I can't sing when my spirit isn't right." Some songs call for souls that shouldn't be called. At the time, fans dismissed it as the poetic metaphor of a sensitive artist. But in light of what followed, the words sound like a confession, a warning. For years, both D'Angelo and Erykah had drawn inspiration from Yoruba and Vodun rituals, faiths blending African mysticism and Christianity, where drums, chants, and dance served as communication with the afterlife. They believed each song was a doorway. Opening it was easy. Closing it was not. Those who opened such doors without spiritual protection risked being consumed by the very energy they summoned. Angie Stone, according to friends, had studied Yoruba rituals deeply. Yet near the end of her life, she began accusing certain figures in the industry of using these rites for the wrong purpose, to manipulate, to steal others' energy. She said her music had been drained of its soul, and she knew who was responsible. 3 days later, she died in a double car crash at night with a strange carving on her arm that no one could explain. After her death, D'Angelo seemed to lose all light in his eyes. He grew silent, withdrawn, reclusive. A friend said he began carrying a Yoruba protection bead, keeping it beneath his pillow each night. He believed someone or something was watching him. In his final nights, he told a few close friends Angie's dream keeps repeating. In the dream, he heard drumming and a woman's voice calling his name. To music scholars, this sounded like superstition. But to those who believe in African spirituality, it was a clear omen. Oya, the goddess of death and transformation, was calling a soul home. And perhaps D'Angelo, in his panic, despair, and faith, could no longer resist. A chilling coincidence, Angie's death fell during Oya's festival week, the period in Yoruba belief when the goddess's winds carry souls to the other side. D'Angelo died during the Egungun season, the ancestral festival when the boundary between worlds grows thin. 2 deaths, 2 seasons, both sacred in the Yoruba calendar. If it was coincidence, then the universe has a cruel sense of humor. But if not, could this have been a ritual, a sacrifice where 2 artists unknowingly became vessels between music and the supernatural force they once worshipped? When asked about this, Erykah Badu replied briefly, "I'm not afraid of the things I sing about. I'm afraid of the people who don't believe in them." It sounded philosophical, but to those who know her, it was self-defense. Erykah Badu has long been called the high priestess of neo-soul. From her head wraps and incense-filled stages to her meticulous sound choices, everything she did carried the aura of ceremony. She once joked, "I don't perform. I cast spells." But after those 2 deaths, no one laughed anymore. Some say Erykah is the last one who still holds the original energy, and for that reason she bears the burden of guarding its secret. She possesses an unreleased recording footage believed to have been taken in the studio showing D'Angelo speaking about the black spirits collecting their debts. Since his death, she has never mentioned it, never released it. Perhaps she is afraid. Perhaps she knows that once that light is shown, there will be no way back. The world still wants to believe D'Angelo died of cancer. But within the smoky veil of neo-soul, where songs are rituals and lyrics are incantations, Sometimes death belongs not to medicine. It may be the price of summoning the wrong spirit, of touching a flame meant only for priests. And if what Erykah Badu holds truly exists, that footage, that proof, then it may not just capture the final moments of a legend, but serve as a warning to all who dare to sing of souls without knowing once you call their names, they will answer. The buried footage resurfaces. No one knows exactly when the rumor began. Some say it started on a small online forum for neo-soul enthusiasts. Others claim they actually saw a blurry video supposedly uploaded by Erykah Badu herself, then deleted within minutes. Whatever the truth, the story spread like wildfire. Badu is holding proof that D'Angelo didn't die of cancer. Just a rumor. But in the world of neo-soul, where every song is a prayer and every artist a kind of sorcerer, even rumors carry weight. And when the name Erykah Badu is involved, everything feels more ominous. A theory emerged that Badu possesses a final recording of D'Angelo filmed just days before his death. No one knows where it was shot, only that it exists captured on an old camera showing D'Angelo staring directly into the lens and saying words that chilled those who heard them. "If I disappear, don't believe the reason they give you. No evidence, no timestamp, only whispers." Yet in the shadow that followed the unexplained car crash that killed Angie Stone, D'Angelo's ex-wife, the theory began to sound frighteningly plausible. Conspiracy believers argued that two deaths only 4 months apart could not be coincidence. Angie Stone had publicly spoken of being watched of a force that wanted her silent, and D'Angelo shortly afterward was said to have turned to Badu, his spiritual companion, with whom he once shared the ancient Yoruba rituals to seek energy protection. So if the theory is true, what happened in those final weeks of his life? A music critic in Chicago claimed that months before his death, D'Angelo had almost completely vanished from public view. He canceled tours, cut off contact, and told friends that music had become a double-edged sword. It echoed a line from his 2014 song, The Charade. "All we wanted was a chance to talk. Instead, we only got outlined in chalk." A protest song once aimed at racial violence, now it sounded like prophecy. Then, at a small performance in New Orleans last month, Badu told the audience, "There are songs that should never be played again. Some melodies carry the souls of those who made them." Moments later, she played a faint distorted audio clip, the sound of reversed drums and a raspy male voice. Many swore it was D'Angelo. From there, everything exploded. The internet split in two, one side insisting this was proof that D'Angelo had foreseen his death, the other believing Badu was channeling through sound, attempting to complete his unfinished ritual. And in the middle of all that chaos stood the unspoken question: if the footage truly exists, and if D'Angelo did leave a message, who are they in his final words? The people in the music industry, a spiritual force, or the shadow of the Yoruba sect itself, the sacred bond that once tied Angie D'Angelo and Badu together in ways no one could ever sever? All of it remains speculation. But like every legend, it survives on fear and curiosity. And when a woman like Erykah Badu stays silent for too long, sometimes silence is the evidence. Now the question is no longer does the footage exist, but rather if it does, is the world ready to see it? Questions that fall into the dark. No one denies that D'Angelo publicly announced through his family and press statement that he was battling pancreatic cancer, a brutal illness that often shows no clear symptoms until it's too late. But when we look closer at the chain of events, at his fragmented words, at the shadows behind him, suspicion arises that cancer may have been just a cover. Some say the psychological trauma after Angie's death accelerated his illness, but that still doesn't explain the whispered line in the leaked footage, "They're coming." Who are they? And if those words weren't the delirium of a dying man, but the warning of someone being hunted, then what really happened? One theory suggests that D'Angelo may have been slowly poisoned, the toxins chosen to mimic the symptoms of cancer. Pancreatic cancer progresses silently, making it the perfect disguise if someone wanted to kill without leaving a trace. Then we look again at Angie Stone, the woman who once stood beside D'Angelo, the mother of his child in the accident, described as a tragic mishap. Her van flipped, she remained conscious, and then a truck slammed into it moments later, details that make one wonder coincidence or orchestration. If someone truly intended to clear the path, could they have had the power to stage such a chain of events? Conspiracy theorists speak of spells and curses, voodoo rituals in Afro culture said to wield spiritual force for harm. Stories of bribed drivers or planted trucks sound absurd, Yet when the night grows long enough, even the absurd can become haunting. And then comes the phrase African cult, the most sensitive of all hypotheses. No one wants to hastily blame a religion or culture. Yet the recurring themes in the music of Angie Stone and Badu songs about souls, rebirth, and gods have led some to suspect an underground order in black music passed through lyrics and energy. There were once rumors that during the making of Voodoo D'Angelo participated in esoteric rites attempting to open the soul's door for inspiration, but the door never closed again. Others claim Angie joined a secret prayer circle seeking healing, then renounced it and was punished. All of it remains rumor. So who benefits if they're truly gone? Record labels, surely sales always spike after an artist's death. But if we dare to think beyond commerce, perhaps there was a hidden power, spiritual or institutional one, that wanted to take the soul to control the story, to bury something too deep for the public to face. History has seen many mysterious musical deaths. Sam Cooke, Jim Morrison figures linked to secret societies, dark allegiances. Could D'Angelo and Angie have become part of the same unsolved legend? These theories remain only shadows in the night. Erykah Badu may hold that footage, but she never declares it as proof. She lets it exist as an invitation for the public to look back, to trace every thread, to ask their own questions. And now we, the observers, must ask ourselves, are we weaving random tragedies together and forcing a spiritual connection that never existed? Or is there truly a painful truth, a hidden conspiracy intertwined with music, faith and death, waiting for someone brave enough to play the next part?
All data, analysis, and commentary in this video are presented based on information available at the time of production. The content is subject to change over time and should not be considered a definitive forecast.
There is still so much more to explore. Stories of resilience, legacy, and truth. Feel free to dive into some of our top recommended videos now, during, on screen.